Okay, so this is going to be a strange little show. Just going to do a quick astrodoodle here. Alright, just let's keep rolling. Good evening. Hello, Gregory. I'm not doing any readings tonight. Sorry. Can't handle it tonight. But I wanted to check in anyway. I'll come back to the Astrodoodle in a moment. Let's have a look over here. Let's have a look. Okay. So, it's Sunday evening. It's the end of April. Everything starts again tomorrow, 1st of May. We're still deep in Taurus season. Tight conjunctions with Mercury, Uranus, the Sun, and fairly close to the North Node. We've got the eclipse pending. I don't really see much of anybody talking about it, but to me it's a big deal. So I'm going to talk about it. A few other things I feel more or less confident to talk about. Remember that my channel is still under the strike watch, and so I'm kind of on a choke collar here, and I still have to be careful. I can't do any readings tonight. I can't see very well. I can see enough to do things, but it's very sort of tender and uncomfortable. I had an accident yesterday with a weed whacker, and it blew up a ton of junk into my face and eyes. I was even wearing a protective glasses, but didn't work. I got some new proper goggles now, but I haven't really had much of any sleep. I've probably used a whole bottle of eye wash and all sorts of things to keep going. A lot of scum and goop and mucus came out of my eyes, and they're very sore and very tender at the moment. I can see, but I have to kind of squint and blink a lot. Anyway. And I've got the lighting down very, very low in the studio. I'm just operating off minimal studio lights. The cameras and the software and everything are powerful enough to pick up enough light so that you can actually see me, but it's actually pretty dark here in the studio. Anyway, I felt that since I'm actually feeling really good inside at the moment, I kept thinking, well, okay, so yeah, I'm personally physically going through a rough patch, but I actually feel really kind of warm and mellow and very blessed on the inside. It's very kind of swirly for me at the moment. It's a very personal thing. I think a lot of it is to do with the moon and Saturn right now. Those are very important axes on my particular chart with the Virgo Pisces axis. So I'm just rolling with it, just like if I was doing a personal reading for you and I knew all of your charts and everything like that, and I saw certain, let's say, interesting markers, then I would comment accordingly. And so every now and again, of course, I do it for myself. So, yeah, I'm just doing what I can. I was up really early when it was cool and sunny, and I could go out in a t-shirt, and I had my early morning bike ride and a cup of coffee, but I had to keep my eyes closed. You can't see it, I'm not going to show you, but I had to keep my eyes like closed down to a tiny sliver so I could see where I'm going. But the air is extremely dry here, and it really messes with your vision. I just wanted to show up tonight because last week it was very kind of jarring for a lot of people because there was such a theme of, death. I'm sorry, there's another word. People passing over to the other side and animals passing over and all that kind of stuff. And Personally, I was okay through it all, but I know that some of our viewers, Precious Moments, a couple of others, have been having a very hard time of those things lately. There's been a lot of very bumpy stories. I saw a beautiful piece of roadkill this morning. It was a pigeon, and the pigeon looked perfectly intact, but I have a feeling it got whacked on the head, and it was just like perfectly, just sitting there perfectly on the street, in the middle of the street. I didn't have any way to take care of it, so I just blessed it and moved on. I learned this week that you can send live chickens through the mail. I didn't know that. There was a period a few months ago when I was doing lots of bicycling around the neighborhood, and I found all these cardboard boxes with the lids ripped open. It was all different streets, different blocks, different areas, and inside each box was a dead chicken. I don't know what that means. But anyway, it's very disturbing to me. I've been watching lots and lots of little heartwarming animal videos all day. When I can see, I have to take a lot of, because I can't just, it's not a normal day for me. I can't just look at stuff. I have to close my eyes and rest my eyes every few minutes. But I would watch all these little animal videos, and they're very, very uplifting, very, very heartwarming. And it reminds you that love is an incredibly powerful phenomenon. It is a force. It is a force of nature. It's out there. It's out there like an energy field, like cosmic rays, like 5G, like air, like the sunlight. It's a force. And it's a very, very beautiful, beautiful energy. A lot of people will never, ever encounter that energy in their lifetime. But if you're lucky, like some of us here, we encounter this energy field on a regular basis. And it floods through your body. It's like the healing power of love. Hello, Love Triber. And hello, Path Traveler. I've heard the name Kentucky and Louisville in the news quite a lot recently, with all sorts of scary things going on, but looks like you're doing okay. I don't know what's happening with Tina over there near Jemez Springs. Gregory's over there in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Ivona is over there in New Jersey. Hello, everybody. I just wanted to check in to provide a little forum for our little community, in case anybody had anything to share or hang out. I'm not going to do any readings. I'm going to do a little bit of talking about the Astrodoodle, because I could make that, but everything is very blurry to me. My eyes are definitely healing. Definitely healing. But it's really kind of hard to focus. So I'm not even going to try. All right, I could if I really wanted to force the issue, but I felt like, we can survive without readings. We don't have to do it. Oh, it's all about the Derby. Oh, the Kentucky Derby. Horses, right. Horses. Oh, I've had a lot of exposure to horses in my life, but not for a long time. When I was a kid, certainly a kid living in England, way out in the countryside and with farms and everything, their horses were just part of everyday life. And there was a certain chapter in my life when we were a young family, like my mom and dad and myself and my brother and sister, where my dad was making enough money on one job to afford all the raw materials for myself and my brother and my dad to make a little small horse barn. And we lived on about an acre of land. It was some of it was pretty rough, but it was very green and luscious and perfect for grazing animals. And so my little sister, she wanted a pony. And guess what? She got a pony. And the land had enough like natural fencing around with trees and bushes that we just put the pony in the backyard and set it up and arranged it with a stable and bought some bales of hay from the local farmers, and the pony grew up. And then my sister had a horse. Yeah, yeah. Castor oil. Oh. No, I don't have any of that stuff. No, yeah. Oh. Hold on, let me show you something. All right, this is a dead giveaway, folks. Now there's no holding back. Have a look. Can you see my present? It just arrived in the mail a couple of days ago. Oh yeah. Very proud. I've been wearing the hat. You know, I can't really. You know what? Here we go. Watch this, folks. Let's see if we can do it this way. Okay, here's my new freaking awesome hat. Look at that. Just look at that, people. Save America again. Actually, where was it? There we go. Anyway, so now you know where I stand politically. I don't have to be shy about it. I know, yes, I did get a compliment on the hat. Thank you for asking. I was hanging out, I think it was a few days ago. I'm very hazy right now, I can't remember exactly, but a couple of days ago, I was out on a little road trip with Love Triber. We stopped at the antique mall, and a gentleman came up there. He knows Love Triber pretty well now, and I came in, and there was 4 guys behind the counter, and they're all about gold and silver. Gold and silver and coins, okay? And one of them came up to me and got really kind of close and said, "Wow, I like your hat." Yeah. And I went up pretty close and I showed it to him. And then they came around the counter because they wanted a closer look. And they could see that it was a really beautifully made baseball cap. Yeah. Heather. Thank you, Heather. And you're Canadian. Oh, yeah, Heather, I know a lot of Canadians are suffering right now because you've got this communist crackpot in office. It's very sad. It's very, very tragic what's happened. There's a new book, I believe it's just come out. Tamara Lick. She was one of the leaders at the pro-Canadian truckers' freedom rally in Ottawa. And she went to prison for a while, but anyway, she's coming out and telling the true story. Yeah. And I think Tamara is a real hero, a real Canadian hero, along with all those other truckers. Because it started to wake up the world. Wake up, world! Freedom. It is not free. You have to understand what it is and how valuable it is. And you don't let anybody take it. Okay? There's a state in America, it's called New Hampshire, and their state motto, and it's on their license plates, is live free or die. Who wants to be a prisoner? I don't feel like I'm a prisoner. I have certain things I could grumble about. But as things go, when I look around life and the world, the things that are happening to me in the world, I'm very, very lucky. I'm a very, very lucky man. I feel like I'm a very wealthy man. I'm a very blessed man. I'm a very happy man. Doesn't always show, because I have feelings and emotions and, reactions just like anybody else. I don't go around the place pretending I'm some kind of guru leader type and I'm always above the clouds and I'm always ecstatic and delirious and free. No, I'm just a guy. I'm just kind of sharing randomly, okay? Let me go over to the stage here for a moment. Alrighty. So this is my little astrodoodle for today. I'm going to illustrate the hot spots again. I'm going to try and do it very gently over here. Over here. I'm going to leave those for now. I don't want to mess up the chart too much. This is the Pisces Virgo axis I was talking about. It's a very sensitive, delicate, fragile axis as far as I'm concerned in my particular chart. But remember, this axis exists for everybody. It's somewhere in your chart live right now. The moon is over here in Virgo, early degrees. Saturn is over here in Pisces, early degrees. So I've noticed a few things. Just as I predicted, probably a couple of months ago, Jennifer Schwab. Hope you're doing well. Hello, Jennifer. Thanks for coming to visit us. A couple of things brought me tremendous joy recently. I'm going to see if I can make notes. I haven't prepared for this show at all. But let's see. Outing of violence. And I think it was outing of Lincoln. And then there's all this other collusion stuff, basically between Alejandro Mayorkas, Merrick Garland, Lloyd Austin, Mike Milley, what's his name from the CIA? What's their name from the FBI? Alright, so I'm just making random notes here. And I'll just rattle through them. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Ted Cruz names. Alejandro Mayorkas. Merrick Garland. Lloyd Austin. Mike Milley. What's his name at the CIA? What's their name at the FBI? Anyway, as predicted, when Saturn hit Pisces, when was it? A few weeks ago, we started a 2.5-year journey right here. And what's going to happen is we're going to see a massive sewage spill. across the world, and it's regarding all the exposure of and the stench of all the sludge from all the global corruption from the top down, the very, very tippity top of the pyramid downwards. At the very, 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 very top, of course, we have Bank of International Settlement. We have all the Federal Reserve Bank of the United States, all the central banks across the world. Then we have the federal governments that do the, let's say, propagation. And then we have the non-governmental organizations like the United Nations, World Health Organization, Convention of, there's a whole cluster of them anyway. It's all these globalists who want to take over the world. And it was just like a massive, massive sewage spill where hundreds of millions of people across the world are smelling the stench and the rot of the elites and their evil agenda that's been in the works for a long time, gradually growing like a massive, massive cancerous tumor, which is now completely metastatic. It's gone all across the world. And so it's just like anybody who's been a cancer patient. A lot of people don't even know they have cancer until they're nearly dead. They wonder, what's this? What's that? Oh, and then whoa, wait a minute. You've got stage 5 terminal cancer metastatic throughout your body. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. What do you do? Well, why didn't anyone tell me? Well, it could have been this or it could have been that, and we didn't know. We don't have cancer sniffer dogs handy right now. But anyway, over here, while Saturn was through Aquarius for the last 2.5 years or so, it was very, very, very bumpy for we the people, where we the people were being tested, like how much are we committed to the global welfare of humankind, of people, of persons, regardless of race, color, religion, belief systems, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm talking about the good people on Earth. There are a lot of people who are not good, and they're probably victims more than anything else. But some people are very intelligent, very successful and capable, and they deliberately choose evil as a pathway. So what happened is, when Saturn entered Pisces, I predicted that we would start to see, on a global scale, this massive exposure of what evil really looks like. And it just smells just the same as rotting meat. It smells of death. It smells of evil. And those are very primitive words that I'm using, because humans are designed to be very frightened of death. And for whatever reason, rotting bodies, dead corpses, put out, if you didn't have a nose, you wouldn't know. But human beings and a lot of animals have noses, and they can smell it. And that's something that, like if you're a fly or a buzzard or something, you might be attracted to fresh dead bodies. But if you're a human being and you come across a dead person and they've been dead for a few days, there will be a very distinctive smell about staying away. And once you've had that smell in your nose, you'll never, ever forget it. Okay? It stays with you like a massive imprint. That is the smell of death. Anyway, that's the same smell. It's very similar to what you get when you get a backed up sewer system and it explodes everywhere. I was at Home Depot the other day, and for whatever reason, maybe some prankster likes to, over here, there are pranksters and thieves who like to remove these very, very expensive bits of plumbing that sit on top of the male urinals. And they pull them off, and then they run away with them. They're worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And maybe somebody pulled one of those off and just the water all in the sewage all backed up. But anyway, it was disgusting. And it just reminded me of what I'm sensing here. I'm not cursing Saturn, I'm not cursing Pisces, I'm not cursing the 12th house. All I'm saying is that in the unhealthy expression of the Pisces 12th house Neptune vibe, it is the stench of death, rot, corruption, lies, betrayal, deceit, insanity, abuse, addiction, hopelessness, suicide, rot, decay, degradation, and eventual death. And the thing about Pisces, Neptune, 12th house energy, it's often very hard to understand or realize or manifest the healthy expression. Okay? Anyway, we're seeing mostly the unhealthy expression of it. And it's coming across all over the world. You probably, maybe, I don't know if you care about these things or watch for it, but I've been watching it. So this just started. We've got another 2.5 years to go. And we just had the Aries new moon eclipse, was pretty strange. And we've got the full moon eclipse coming up in a few days. Okay, the moon is here right now. We're going to move up to here in a few days, at the end, near the end of the week. So in this sector here, what we're seeing is what we're actually witnessing the sewage spill as a result of decades and decades of corruption from the folks at the very, very, very pinnacle of power on top of the earth, the people who own three-dimensional reality. All they care about is power and money and control, and they have all sold their souls in order to have more money, more power, more control. So they might live the life of a person who looks like they have a lot of power and money and control, but inside they are completely hollow. What they do to make their livings and enjoy their three-dimensional benefits is that they feed on the rest of humanity through the global financial system. I know it sounds weird to say that, but that's actually how it works. And it's been an extremely effective system. And everybody, 7 billion, 7.5, 8 billion people got played. And lots of people are so diseased and infected and destroyed by all of this now that it's becoming evident everywhere on Earth. Whole countries are collapsing because of the globalist agenda up here. They want poverty. They want control. Anyway, I don't want to get too sucked into the black hole. I don't want to actually dive into the sewage. I don't want to dive into the sewer and swish around it. Everybody can, Anyway, it's happening. So I just wanted to, yes, Path, I'm going to do that in just a minute. Thanks. So this brought me great joy today. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she is a real pit bull. She is a very, very aggressive, no-nonsense pit bull woman. She's a conservative Republican in the Republican Party. She's part of the Republican Select Committee, I believe. And she is going full blast to go over. Hi, Tina. She's going full blast to start to rip to shreds all the people in our country at the very top of the administration of our country and start to expose them. And a lot of this stuff, Love Triber pointed something out to me earlier today. We already have the evidence. We already know that the Biden family is a massive criminal operation. But what's anybody doing about it? Okay? Anyway, it started to be called out. And one of the tricky problems that's happening is that the mainstream media which belongs to this group here, is that they're having difficulties censoring and blocking the leak. In other words, here we go, back over to here, 12th house, Saturn, Pisces, Neptune, the massive sewage spill. It's so big that even the maximum levels of control and censorship that go on in the mainstream media, even with all of that, they are still reporting out of obligation because they can't hide it. It's become too pervasive that they are reporting things that sound as though it's counter to the globalist elite agenda. It sounds like it's counter active to the mainstream media Marxist agenda, which is closely, of course, parallel, aligned with the Biden, Obama, Clinton, Bush agenda to sell out to China, because that's the plan. Anyway, Marjorie Taylor Greene pointed out, and she has the evidence that exposes the Biden families. In particular, she focused on Hunter Biden and all these dozens and dozens of SAR, suspicious activity reports, SARs, from one particular major mainstream bank here in America that actually does the banking for the Biden family. And it's just off the charts with criminality. And she cherry-picked a couple of the reports, and one of them, it was very specific. It was specifically about financial rewards to the Biden family through Hunter and the rest of the family for sex trafficking of little children and young children, very young children and young children. And what was the other one? The sex trafficking and... Anyway, it was disgusting. It was just absolutely disgusting. And she called it out. She was at a Republican convention, I think it was either in Iowa or Ohio or something, talking directly to the people. Okay, we also know Matt Gaetz. Oh, I should have put him here. Okay, up here. Matt Gaetz, he already has a USB stick, computer thumb drive stick, full of everything on the Hunter laptop. And he has it. Okay? So Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, they are in possession of all this evidence. Okay? Ted Cruz is also in possession of all this evidence against the Biden family. And so there's this, the Biden family is being circled right now by the Republicans in the House Special Select Committee. They're starting to circle around the Biden crime family. Nobody's taking action about what to do yet, because I don't think anybody knows what to do, because this has never happened in America before on such a scale, in such a completely massive and criminal enterprise. So Ted Cruz is going on a little tangent. He's going after Blinken, Antony Blinken. He's the Secretary of State, who's the second in command from Biden, and Antony Blinken is the guy. They've actually figured it out on paper that Antony Blinken was the guy who was working with the FBI and the CIA to force the FBI and the CIA to sign off on a document that agrees that the whole Russian collusion thing was, in fact, a Russian collusion thing in order to try to take down Donald Trump, on the last round of elections. Of course, it's all exposed. Blinken is a hardcore Marxist, commie, along with the Biden family, Biden crime family. We all know about Alejandro Mayorkas. He's under a very intense pressure from the House Senate Committee about the border, the southern border. He's the guy in charge of that Department of whatever it is, immigration, something. And then there's Merrick Garland, the Attorney General. He's being shackled, and he's being brought into the limelight about all his corruption. There's Lloyd Austin, military, American Defense. Mike Milley, American Defense, and the bosses at the CIA, the bosses at the FBI. There are people inside all of these departments. Each of these people, these are the people, Biden's, Blinken's, Mayorkas, Garland, Austin, Milley, CIA, FBI, and all the other three letters. They are at the very, very top of our administration, and they're all working as hard as they can to destroy America as fast as possible from the inside out in order to open the gate to China so that China has almost zero resistance and China can win the war against America without even shooting one bullet. That's the plan. That's the agenda. And so far it's working. But luckily inside the United States, enough people are starting to wake up and say, hey, wait a minute, there's something wrong here. To the point where you can't stop the smell. The smell is so bad that everybody's starting to smell it now. Whether you're just somebody who smells inflation or you smell that there's a problem in the world around you. It's really bad. Anyway, when I started to see all this, especially this week, just after the Aries new moon, I started to notice a lot more activity with these names, these departments, and all of their criminal behavior. And it's being outed. It's being identified. You've got to reveal it to heal it. You've got to name it. You have to name it. Put it on paper and bring it to court. Bring it to justice. Love Triber was saying, is there ever going to be any justice? Is there ever going to be any accountability at all against these evil people? These evil institutions? Well, we don't know. America is going through this massive convulsion right now, as indicated right here. We've been talking about this for years, and everything I believe that we've been talking about here is going to take the rest of the Pluto cycle for 20 years to unravel all of this evil. The reason I say it like that, it sounds like I'm condemning America and American hope. It sounds hopeless, but it's not. I've been doing a lot of, I'll come back to the eclipse in just a second, okay? To cheer myself, what I do is, I think I told you a while back, I like to scroll through as much global news and information as I can from whatever sources I can find. I tend to lean on people that I trust who have their own particular sources, because some of the people that I like and that I trust as sources, they are highly focused on one particular agenda or topic or theme, whether it's finances or religion or politics or something, but I want it all. And so I do a very, very broad scan, and then I condense it down, and I trust my sources, okay? Oh, look who it is. Anyway, so what I did today, I thought I'm going to cheer myself up. So I'm sorry I'm blinking quite a bit because I can't really see very well, but I'm functional otherwise. So I've been resting a lot today because I really couldn't do much, because I couldn't see much. And anyway, I was watching carefully through my glasses and kind of like a very blurry impression, watching these little animal videos, because I do that when I want to cheer myself up. It elevates the energy of hope inside of me and the energy of love, because animals are very, very pure. Whether it's a savage hunter like a hungry wolf or a hungry coyote or whatever, or a shark or whatever, they're very, very pure. And anyway, some of the things that I like are the rescue videos, and one of them that I saw today was a rescue video from Turkey. Now, Turkey has a city called Istanbul, used to be Constantinople, and theoretically, dogs are almost sacred over there, and they live in the wild in the city, and there are lots of dog sanctuaries over there, and they're protected. They're like a protected population. But still, animal abuse occurs. And about 4 days ago, a poor dog was captured on video. And what had happened is some 4 young children, I guess, not little kids, but not adults, like mischievous young kids, decided to cover this dog in a bucket of glue and roll it around in the glue and then tie string all around it as a sort of hilarious prank. Of course, the dog would die if left alone. It wouldn't have a chance at all. And anyway, some good Samaritans came across the dog and brought it in for treatment. And of course, it took a long time to clip the fur, remove the glue, remove the ropes, and start the healing process. But of course, I knew already in advance, because it was a story of salvation, I knew the dog would heal. And of course, it did. Now, actually, the video was much more, it was 4 months ago. Okay, so the dog eventually did heal. They do those timestamp videos. And the dog recovered, and it turned out to be a beautiful dog. But it takes a long time for some of these animals to heal, depending on how severe is the damage. Now, I have seen stories and watched stories where the animal doesn't make it. And that's quite common as well. I try not to watch too much of those because they can be very heartbreaking. But it's also a reminder of the capacity of human beings to be completely void of love and very capable of pure evil. And it's a reminder. I don't want to dwell on that too much, but it's out there. It's real. Evil is a result of a choice, choosing not to love. Anyway, so it takes time. A lot of these animals that get abused, they have horrific stories, but the ones that make it, it's just very heartwarming. It's very, very beautiful. They're little lambs born without any back feet, things like that. Little birds that were born and then they caught a virus and they lost all their feathers, and all sorts of amazing, beautiful stories. I love it all. Okay? Mr. Ross, I just noticed your thing there. I'm trying to read without... Wait a minute, what's that? What new job? Wait a minute, I'm missing something. I've got to catch up. Give me a moment. It's hard for me to see. Tina came back. Hi, Tina. You start a new job tomorrow. Ho, ho, ho. Oh, I'm so glad I came on tonight. It's wonderful to have good news. Oh, I'm so happy for you, Tina. That's amazing. Going through general orientation. And she's saying, hey, Pat, I need some ideas for the new house. I keep going back to the things I picked out for the other house. Congratulations, obviously. Gregory, all that, I guess, Gregory, you're talking about all that stuff that I itemized. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what's going to happen. Because it's very, very long and drawn out. That's why I was using the pet rescue and the pet healing analogy. Sometimes it takes a very, very long time to turn things around, especially when there is so much abuse and so much damage perpetrated from above for so long on so many people? How do you just flip a switch and heal all that? Well, I think you have to go through stages. Number one, you have to reveal it to heal it. You have to name it. You have to identify it. You have to point it out for what it is. And you have to say, no, enough is enough. We're not going to put up with that stuff anymore. The thing about what the globalists do at the very, very pinnacle of their pinnacle of power is that their game, their trick, their fraud, their deception, their lies, their theft, their betrayal, their abuse has been, what's the word? Refined and purified and amplified so much, so effectively from 1913 and onwards. And it went through stages of evolution. 1913, 39, 1944, then the 50s and the 60s, then 1971, and so on. But at each evolutionary stage in the growth of their deception and fraud, the cancerous tumor expanded and grew and became more and more metastatic across the whole of planet Earth. China is actually doing kind of a replica of the same thing. And they're like they do. It's just like what China does with intellectual property. You take a Tesla car and you basically pull it apart and you replicate it. And you stick a new badge on the front. That kind of thing. Like with the fighter jets, aircraft carriers, submarines, nuclear weapons, radios, TVs, phones, all of that stuff. It's all developed in Western Europe and the United States, and then we ship it over to China to take advantage of slave labor, and then we import it back. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is that China learns very, very quickly. They're very, very smart people. And sadly, the people at the top, the CCP, they are the embodiment of evil. And they're basically trying to replicate the American and the globalist model for themselves and to perpetuate that and propagate that across planet Earth. And they're doing a really good job. You've probably seen it, what's happening across the world right now with China. Well, not China or the Chinese, but the CCP. So it's going big time. And when it gets that big and that big time, you can't not see it. So it's become very, very visible. And again, with the globalists, they have become very, very visible because they are that close to manifesting their ultimate dream, which is absolute global one world management. And the closer they get to it, the more it is revealed and the more shocking and repulsive it is when you actually see it in the full extent of its evil. And so now that we know very, very well what's actually going on. We know their agenda, their methods, their tools. We know the names of all the lead characters. We know all of that now. The question is, like you said, Gregory, how are we going to deal with it? How are we going to make them accountable? How are we going to shut them down? How are we going to stop them? How are we going to create a parallel world so that we, the people, can survive in the meantime and reformat and create a healthy planet and get rid of this evil cancer that's spread across the globe? We just don't need it. Human beings can function perfectly well without a singular totalitarian regime. I think I said that earlier. What is that? Freedom. So we're going back to the theme of 1776. decades before 1776 and the few decades after 1776. But 1776, 27.5 degrees Capricorn was the pivotal point. And 27.5 is close enough to 29.5 for all of it to be a pivotal point. That's why a lot of the things that I've been dealing with on this channel for the last 3 or 4 years are all essentially focused around the 0 point, the cusp point of Pluto in Capricorn moving into Pluto in Aquarius. It's basically the whole 1776 theme recycled. And back at that time, it's very, very similar. It became very apparent to the American settlers, the pioneers, the forefathers, whatever you want to call them, that there is an evil agenda operated by the British monarchy. And the American, the newly settled American states said enough is enough. But they couldn't just shut it down and say, oh, go away, we can't do that anymore. It turned into war. So guess what's happening now? Here we are 250 years later. In other words, it's almost like I'm saying everything is exactly as it should be. And why is that so? How is that so? It's because it can't be any other way. Things are exactly how they are. The universe is what it is. It's breathing. It's constantly being born and dying, born and dying. Massive black holes of death and massive new stars being formed. It's perpetual. And with the way we are with the astrology and the planets of today, we're going through a cycle. It's just another cycle of growth and evolution. And evolution typically happens very slowly at the depth of the soul in the physical body. You don't really notice that it's happening. But now that human beings are aware of Pluto and the Pluto cycle, also Uranus and Neptune, you can actually start to correlate human history and human experience with evolution, with the delineation of the planets. It's sacred geometry. It's absolutely beautiful and pure. As it is as evil as it is beautiful. The evil thing is, of course, the stuff that's very scary for human beings that we don't like. But in its own way, it is as pure as the love. Yeah. All right, I'm going to go over here now. All right, so here we are. This is my little astrodoodle. Carry on chatting amongst yourselves, folks. I'm just doing my astrodoodle rant. So we've got this big fat opposition here, some loose squares here, here, and here. We got some sweet sextiles and trines here and here, and that's great. It's just another day in the skies in the solar system. These are the trigger points to me. Here, here, and here. We've been talking about this all evening, We hinted at this one. For the last couple of months, I was mentioning this eclipse here, that it's going to be all about global finance. The money of you, the money of we the people, our sovereign wealth, our sweat, our equity, our gifts, our talents, our resources, our value, our values, things that have raw substance, raw value. Like, let's say, the outcome of your sweat and your labor, your intelligence, your application of energy into something that is like a product or a service that is valuable to someone else, and you are rewarded or compensated in what we call money. It's actually currency. That's what I'm talking about over here. The money that you can stuff away in your bank, in your pocket, simply because you are you, being the best person that you can be in order to participate in society, where you supply your natural gifts. Like some people, I'm into art, music, and writing. Never made much, but it's something. Anyway, on the opposite side of that is the other people's money. That's where, let's say you've just earned $1,000 or $100,000 or something. What are you going to do with that? Oh, is somebody going to take it? Oh, is that $100,000 in the form of a car or a house or bars of gold or a business, a cash flow, or whatever it is? And let's say that's all yours. You made it and it's a beautiful thing. But in order to function under this tyrannical operation up here, you have to go through what's called a bank. And banks are kind of like the battery in a car. It's very, very handy to have a battery in a car so that you don't have to hand crank it each time to start it. You can store energy, and then when you need to, you can feed that energy back into your system. But it does require trusting into a third party that is not you. And so under the hood of most cars, there's a thing called a battery, which is kind of like a bank, a storage of energy. So you live your life here, and you put some of that energy back over here into the banking system. And then when you need it, it feeds energy back to you. That's typically in the form of debt, or the leakage of energy, like a credit card, a college loan, a car payment, a mortgage on a house, a business loan, home equity line of credit comes from here back to you. But none of it would exist unless you put it from here into here. The thing is, once the things of value that you put from here into here arrive over here into what we consider a safe place called the bank, in some ways it's the most dangerous place to put your money. But where else do you put it? Because we are born and conditioned to believe that you have to have a bank. And the banks and the bankers and the banksters have created this amazingly successful, like a machine, like a belief system. Remember, in my little book, the very first sentence, money is what we believe it to be. So these folks figured that out. They said, we're going to create a belief system, and it's called money. And eventually it got to the point where it is today, called fiat money, which is make-believe money, fake money, with zero reserve banking. In other words, once you hand your real money over to them, they now own it. And if they misbehave and gamble and speculate your money so far into oblivion that it can't be recovered, and you get scared and you say, wait a minute, I want my money back. You go from here to here to try and get it back. Guess what? You're not getting it back. And that's what's happening across the world right now in the global banking system. All the fraudulent banksters, part of the elite, globalist, tyrannical banking system of fiat currency, they have taken and abused your money, turned it into currency, and fed it back to you as fake. And we believed it. But people are starting to understand the difference between real money and fake money. Real money is the enemy of fake money. Fake money is the enemy of real money. People are starting to figure it out. And this is a huge evolutionary leap for humankind. I mean, the problem's been around, since Roman times or before, when leaders exploited the currency of gold. And once the leaders got too greedy and corrupt, they would start printing gold coins that were thinner and thinner and thinner, but calling it the same value. And of course, that's another pathway to inflation. Anyway, so what's happening right now on a global scale is that the polarity, the eclipse that's happening between Moon in Scorpio and Sun in Taurus over here is going to, let's say, translate into what I see as a global financial meltdown, like a tectonic plate. Let's say real money, fake money, where it's going to go like this. The schism between real money and fake money is so untenable anymore. The fake money people can no longer convince us that fake money is real. And the people with real money are no longer willing to put up with the people with the fake money telling us it's real. So the pressure has built up across the world, and it's going like this. And that moment is happening in slow motion right now. We're building up to it. And this is like the culmination right here. It's evolution. It's tectonic plates. Uranus and Taurus is right here. Explosive, unstable, catastrophic, shocking, unpredictable events in the world of real money that will have a reciprocal kickback reaction in the world of fake money. I heard this little story. Sorry, excuse me, my eyes are really messed up at the moment. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to shut down pretty soon. I'm sorry. Well, I'll keep it going, but I can't see very well. I heard something, I don't know if this story is true, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. This is a little story. I got it from one of my very trusted money people on YouTube. And it's a story about Jerome Powell, who's the chairman of the United States Federal Reserve Bank and the banking system. He is at the very, very pinnacle of global financial power, control, and money. He's at the very, very, very top, along with a couple of dozen other people. Okay? So what they say and what they do affects the whole world. Not just America. It affects the whole world. Mostly you will see it in terms of interest rates or the printing of money and words like inflation or deflation or boom or bust or recession or depression. Those are the common buzzwords to do with the subject that I'm talking about right now. Anyway, apparently some hackers, this is the story, it's just a story, believe it or not, that's up to you. The hackers got into the private line for Jerome Powell, and the hackers claimed that they were calling from the office of Vladimir Zelensky over in Ukraine. Vladimir, and the phone call, the message was something like this. Hi, this is Vladimir Zelensky. I'm calling directly from Ukraine. I'm very, very distressed right now because money is a very, very big issue for us here in Ukraine. And I need to know what's going on. I need to know some of your moves, Jerome. You've been very kind and very generous with Janet Yellen, the Treasury. We got tons of money over here now. I know that America is helping us out and everything. I know we have a history that, people think Ukraine is corrupt and everything. But I just want to know, can you give me some clues about what's happening so I can plan ahead? And Jerome apparently believed that he was actually talking to Vladimir Zelensky. And the recorded message was something like, well, I got to tell you, it's bad. It's really, really bad. I can't control it anymore. If I raise interest rates, we're going to experience doom. If I lower interest rates to try and stimulate the economy and accelerate the velocity of money and encourage more and more lending, we're going to create more doom and gloom and debt down the road. If I print more money to help everybody out, that's going to create an even bigger time bomb down the road. So it's doomed. We're doomed. We don't know what to do. We've actually lost control. I've lost control. It was a very personal conversation, apparently. Jerome basically said, I've lost control. So so that's the story. So basically, from here on, whatever comes out of the mouth of Jerome Powell or Janet Yellen or Joe Biden regarding American banks, American finance, and the rest of Wall Street banks, it's all lies. Whatever it is, it's just lies to cover up the reality that the game is over. The fraud, let me go back over here. Saturn, over the next 2.5 years, is going to put such intense pressure on humanity to reveal what needs to be revealed so that it can be healed. And the thing that is the most dangerous thing to humanity is the financial system. You can't fix it overnight. Right now, for example, like a smaller scale example is what's happening with China and the United States. Inside the United States, okay, here's my little world map. China has been expanding its, let's say, agenda across the world very, very successfully. Very much in the same manner that the global financial system has been propagating its massive cancerous tumor. But here in the United States, the infection is complete. The United States has been completely infected with the Chinese Communist Party. It's in the very highest levels of Washington, the highest levels of Wall Street and the banking and the money, the highest levels of business, highest levels of media, highest levels of education, universities, colleges. In other words, it's complete metastatic cancer. And that's what China wants, because that's getting America very close to the point where America dies on its own without having to be fired on with one single Chinese bullet, okay? I wish, seriously, Path Traveler, I wish I had kept the video or the channel. It's got to be one of my financial ones that I was watching. I'm sorry, I didn't even store the link. It wasn't very long anyway. So, anyway, it might be, and I just wanted to share that story because it makes perfect sense to me. As people across the world are waking up, whole countries are waking up now. Some of them even more than the wake-up call that's happening in the United States. There's a lot of Americans who are very much unaware. They're asleep. They believe in the fraud. They believe in the illusion that's being presented to them. It's a choice. It's almost like if they decide to wake up or decide to believe in the truth or the facts, it would be so contradictory to their existing life or their existing lifestyle that they would be too ashamed to admit that they were too stupid to see the fraud. And so they continue to align with the fraud rather than suffer the ego loss of saying, wow, I really screwed up. I actually believed the evil. I subscribed to the evil. What was I thinking? Was I really that dumb? There's a lot of people who can't and won't do that. They will stay subscribed to the evil till their graves. That's it. You can't help them. That's how it is. Oh God, some of the other things I've been watching. Oh my God, what was it? Economic Ninja? He's got some insider buddies way at the top of Amazon. And as you know, Amazon just laid off tens of thousands just in the last few days. And it's getting much worse. And Amazon doesn't know what to do. There's Bed Bath & Beyond. It's a huge retail chain in America, now completely bankrupt. Just kapoof. And that's what happens when you run a business the way that these people do, because that's the only way they can run these businesses. It's all based on markets of the moment and the banking environment of the moment. Things like interest rates and credit lines. And if those things get out of balance, like interest rates and credit lines and the marketplace, then you can have something even as big as Amazon go bust. Even Jeff Bezos, the original founder of Amazon, is on record for saying that he sees a day when Amazon will go broke, bankrupt, kaput, end. It's evolution. Birth, growth, and death. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful, beautiful thing to witness. Sorry, yeah. Anyway. Excuse me, sorry. I tried to, by the way, everybody, I tried to get in touch with Trinity. That's Precious Moments up there in Edmonton, Canada. Because, you know, last week she told us how she lost her aunt and uncle and 3 cats all in one day. That's very, very... I've tried to reach out to her. I haven't heard back anything. I tried a few times. I don't think she's here tonight. So if anybody's heard from her, please let me know. Okay, guys, I have to stop right now. My eyes are a real mess, and I got to go treat them, okay? Sorry for this abrupt ending. I've been trying to go as long as I can so we could all enjoy each other's hangout together, but I really have to get going now. Thank you so, so much. I'm going to stop the stream now, and then I'm just going to let everything roll until YouTube shuts it down itself, because there's a huge disparity between when I shut down and when YouTube shuts down. Okay, so I'm going to try and mitigate that by just staying here for a little bit after I shut it down. Okay, love you guys. Thank you so much. We'll do this again soon. Okay, and I think Path mentioned that we won't be back here until Sunday, which will be after the eclipse. However, who knows, I might be able to pop in again during the week around the eclipse. We'll see what's happening, okay? Be loving, be loved. Very, very simple. Be loving, be loved.